I've done it. God damn it. I've done it, Xenox. Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, for APAC South. Joining me, two lovely friends of mine, Manic and Raven, of course, after casting the two earlier games. Raven, in some way, maybe a little bit disappointing that they weren't closer, but still, we've got some big results. Of course, Elevate moving on to the stage championship, and obviously Chiefs going to the playoffs.
Yeah, look, they're both very exciting games going in, and it was still very exciting results at the end of the day, but yeah, not as close as we expected. But that does show that, I guess, there were two clear victors in that instance, in particular with that Elevate game. It really just firmly puts them at the top of APAC South for stage one.
No doubt at all. No doubt in my mind they are number one. I think Knights, we were asking, could they hold a candle to them? It doesn't look like it. However, the good point is for Knights, they're still in playoffs, right? They still come second from what, unless there's something crazy that I didn't look at, they still come second. They still had an incredible season nonetheless. As for Chiefs, how happy could you be picking up a new org halfway through the season and now to be able to take them to the playoffs? Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's awesome for the Chiefs as an organization, and of course the team as well, that they're firing on all cylinders. I can confirm for you, Rob, that Knights can't fall out of second place, so at least they've got that for them. Still a very good stage overall, and they are going to be a team to watch going into the playoffs. Let's turn our attention, though, of course, to what is officially the match of the day. And hey, Raven, maybe it will actually be the match of the day after all. 7thHeaven versus QConfirm. A final spot in the playoffs up for grabs.
That's right, Xenox. This is the last playoff spot up for grabs, so there is a lot of weight in this match. And who would have thought that 7thHeaven in particular would be in this position? Now, we've talked about it a lot, that we really had potentially unfairly written them off at the start of the stage. We thought they would be down near the bottom of the standings. But week after week, they have put in some very decent performances. And yeah, they are in with this chance. They really could make playoffs this match against QC.
Yeah, and I mean, one player I'm going to highlight, not necessarily the player that we would talk about in terms of having the biggest impact. We'd probably look at Pika or Souffle, but Spirited has come in as a sub and has done phenomenally for the team. You think about the pressure that would be coming onto coming into the back end of this season, and he's stepped up for them. I think, in particular, you look back at a couple of games. The Knights one stands out in particular, where they were able to come back from a 6-0 to push it to OT. Unfortunately, they lost. But you can't deny that this roster right now is incredibly dangerous and has something up their sleeve that I just don't think a lot of teams are ready for.
Yeah, Spirited with a 4-0 entry. That's kind of nuts. Has only played 4 maps coming in halfway through, as you said. And in those 4 maps as well, in terms of that 1vx or that clutch scenario, he's done that 3 times and still with 1 game to go. So he has been big in the clutch moments. Let's look at their opponents, though. QConfirm. And speaking of sub healthcare, of course, he has returned since about almost the halfway mark, Raven, and since then has arguably been one of the best players in APAC South, but it hasn't been surprising, and it is one thing that QConfirm was missing in the first half of the season.
Yeah, look, he came in that first game and got the highest rating in the league, and he's managed to maintain that. He's played 3 maps now. He still is the highest rated player in the league at 1.32, and it's been a really rough entry into this matchup for them because they just got 7-0'd by the Chiefs on Tuesday. That was a nothing short of humiliating loss to them. Healthcare really carried them through that. They couldn't have done any worse than a 7-0, but if he wasn't there stepping up, it was a very dark game. So this is going to be one where I'm sure they're fired up. They want to put in a much better performance than what they did Tuesday. And of course, they want to make playoffs.
Such a dark game. Was that a pun on the sub who's no longer there and Healthcare has taken over? Please tell me it was. No, it wasn't.
Well,
but it is
a dark game in that instance.
No, but it was now. Again, just reiterating, Dark wasn't necessarily the worst player to have in that position, but Healthcare is just on another level. And you don't want to isolate just Healthcare. Yes, he has really been the difference. You still have to look to Producer Boom and the rest of the roster. Like Colas had some really good games early on in their season that I think really gave them an upper hand in having the 3 points when they first started against Wildcard. So there really has been a team effort to get QConfirm to where they are right now. They've only got one more hurdle to go.
And also, just to note as well, you know, you mentioned the 7-0, but Chiefs are just looking in formidable form right now. So how much stock do you really put into that when, in all fairness, it was really just the Chiefs being the Chiefs that we've seen from them recently. So I'm looking to QConfirm to bounce back. We'll see, of course, where they're going to be bouncing back on, what map that will be as we get our map list going down. It is going to be Consulate, which we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of this season, Manic, and coming into this matchup, I think I like it. It's not Oregon and it's not Clubhouse. It's something a little different.
Yeah, we have only seen it once, actually, to correct you, and well, not to correct you, but to add on to what you said. Sorry, hey, I'm not the bus, you're the bus. I am merely just a passenger on that, okay? But Chiefs, sorry, not Chiefs, this was 7thHeaven who played it. So this has already been seen from QConfirm, kind of watching, you know, from a third person's perspective, kind of taking the notes. It was against Wildcard. They lost 4-7. Asterisk, though, Wildcard is pretty good on Consulate. We expected them to be able to take that map. It was the only map, in fact, we thought they would win. However, let's bring it back to this one. I do think that 7thHeaven are in with a good chance here. I think Consulate does lean into some sporadic things from that roster in particular, and I dare say keep an eye on Souffle and Pika in this one.
Look, I'm excited to see how this is going to play out, because just looking at the map stats here, Consulate is 7thHeaven's most banned map, at least in the period that we have stats tracking for, which is over the past year, and the second most banned map for QConfirm. So neither of these teams really play Consulate that much at all. Yeah, 7thHeaven did get a 4-7 loss to Wildcard. Wildcard looked particularly good on that day. Bit hot and cold this stage because of their situation. But we really just don't know what it's going to be like for QConfirm. The last time we saw them play it, it was a 3-7 loss to Cyclops in SI qualifiers. But that was back in December. That was many months ago. Things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah, and this region as a whole, APAC South, throws out some funny results, and we very much say a lot of the times anything can happen and it goes either way, 50-50. In this case, I think again the sentiment rings true, although we've again had some pretty one-sided results tonight. We'll see if that trend continues as we head into Consulate. We'll throw it over to our wonderful casters, my favorite duo. It's Cousin Dev.
Oh, we're the favorite. Did you hear that, Guz? I just feel all warm inside.
Always knew it, Dev. But I mean, heading into this one, there's 4 things I love in life. I love you, I love Siege, I love APAC, and I love a good game of Siege. And this, I think, I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to deliver.
Oh yeah, I'm so ready for this. QConfirm on the back of poor form, and well, 7thHeaven has shown that they are not to be underestimated. This could go either way. We love to say that, but in APAC South here, it is always true. And I could not be more excited for this match with playoffs on the line. QConfirm all through 8 last year, they just couldn't make it into the top. They could never make playoffs, and 7thHeaven, well, they have bounced back and shown that they are the dark horse everyone has been waiting for. Let's see who takes it on Consulate.
I don't want to bore anyone with math, and I know I'm terrible at it, so we'll quickly get this out of the way, Dev, but I think it's important that we establish what these teams actually need to achieve to make the playoffs and where they could potentially position. We'll start on the side of 7thHeaven as they're on the attack. Their best possible finish is 4th. Doesn't matter if they OT win or if they have a regular win, they are going to finish in 4th position. On the flip side, QConfirmed, they need 3 points, so a regulation win will head them to 3rd position. However, 2 points will equal them with the Chiefs, and because they lost the head-to-head, a 0-7, then they themselves will land in 4th position. But the TLDR, if you want to simplify it, basically, if you win this game, you're in the playoffs.
That's massive. That's what all of these teams are fighting for at the moment. It's what we've already seen Chiefs and Order fought, and of course it was Chiefs who took that, and now it is of course the other playoffs game. Now I just will make one tiny remark while you mention it. Now as you said, QConfirm has a shot at 3rd seed coming into it, so that would then take them against the 4th seed from North, whereas whoever takes the 4th seed here would then, if you take 4th seed, then you play the 3rd place from North. I don't know if that makes much of a difference, to be honest, though.
You've lost me already. So
yeah.
That's okay.
I'm sure I lost
Let's talk about the bans. That's something tangible. We can talk about that. So Ace Thatcher taken off the board first. Not too unexpected here on Consulate, and will make opening the basement a little bit trickier. Vigil's a little bit of a wild card. Both of these teams, I'm sure, would not have shied away from playing him had he been available, roaming around the map. And Mirror to wrap things up. Now, in terms of match history, 7thHeaven, as the boys on the desk did mention, they have played it against Wildcard. On that occasion, they banned out IQ and Goyo. So there has already been a deviation from that.
Yeah, we're leaving the Nomad in as well. Seems like a big deal to me with the attacking set of bans there. And of course, ED is going to jump on it straight away. Now, Consulate is a map which... Look, it's been played to death in Comp Siege over the last, 5 years? And it's starting to get to the point where it's a bit stale. That's why a lot of people, don't pick it these days. It tends to be the least favored map in the pool at the moment. That Nomad is actually 6-pick off of, because I was going to segue into how powerful that Nomad is on this map, right? So the attack, you can really just manhandle the defense, almost like Coastline. If you suppress that aggression from the defense, then you can just set yourself up to abuse them and force down a plant. And the Nomad is a super effective counter to what a lot of defensive play styles tend to lean into on this map, which is keep the attackers at bay. Don't just let them sit on windows the whole round. Keep them at bay by running out on them and keeping that pressure on them. So the Nomad being in will perhaps stint that playstyle and make that a little bit less relevant.
And on the topic of counters and 6-pick, interestingly enough, Producer Boom did reveal the Valkyrie in the reveal phase. So 7thHeaven had the window of opportunity to potentially 6-pick onto the IQ and directly counter that. On Consulate, those cameras can be thrown a long way outside, gather a lot of intel, and be very difficult to find if IQ is not on the board. Now, on this occasion, it looks like Producer's electing to place them inside. Maybe he's anticipating that 7th will 6 onto the IQ anyway, and that's why he's placing them inside as opposed to out.
Yeah, very much for that late round info, it looks, from QConfirm. Let's turn our attention to the roam clear and the roam. So it looks like Hajime is getting info down in archives through the floor with his pulse scanner, and the main roam that we've got is no one at the moment, actually. Oh, look at that, all 5 players down on the basement. It's fairly unusual these days. Usually you see the defense contest map control and then attackers go for a map sweep. But because QConfirm aren't really fighting to contest, 7thHeaven have just taken all this for free.
ED can scan for footprints, just ensure that it is indeed clear. Shotgun as well can be utilized to create angles that will shut down the rotations, and 7thHeaven capitalizing upon this control. In fact, most of the team above, you would have to assume that they try and transition this control in towards Piano and then start working the wall, because he's Spirited, of course, outside. Ready and waiting. Again, with Thatcher banned out, that vertical play will be critical. And he's just waiting for that utility, or any potential utility, to be cleared. Keep in mind that there actually isn't, that has been brought, right? There's no Mute, there's no Kaid, there's no Bandit. So opening that wall really shouldn't be that much of a trouble.
Yeah, but of course, thanks to Aruni, once you open that wall, you're going to be met with the Laser Gate, the Sirius, and it's going to take some time for 7thHeaven to burn that, and of course some utility. Fortunately, Spirited does have flashes, so he could get rid of those. At the moment, he's just worked on that hatch. But now this is really a pivotal kind of pre-execute time in the rounds, guys, for 7thHeaven, where they need to get work on this vertical play. But so far, I feel like despite there not being much of a roam, 7thHeaven aren't making amazing timing here.
Yeah, I'd say that opening the wall 2 minutes in is a little bit scary, considering there wasn't much denial. And now, of course, as you mentioned, they have the gates to contend with. I'm really hoping that Pika, maybe from above, can find a pick and give 7th an opening into this round. In the 5v5 trade, getting that plant down will be tough. Quite a bit of potential denial on the board, particularly with like Colas and Hajime still having utility.
And this is shaped up to be an incredibly slow round. QConfirm not fighting early whatsoever, and 7thHeaven start to make their execute, and oh no, the Aruni Gate coupled with the smoke leaves Spirited very, very low HP and low on time. Pika finds the opening onto Healthcare. That's the big player for QConfirm. But Producer Boom is still alive, ready and waiting as trades come back and forth. QConfirm go above, and my god, the retake is completely on. There's just about nothing that 7thHeaven can do as they all rely on Spirited. QConfirm overwhelm that execute and take round number 1 for themselves.
Solid start there on the defense for QConfirm, and I really love the fact that they retook above, good aggression, that's the kind of playstyle that you need to bring to the board on this map. And ultimately, Dev, I agree with the sentiment you sort of had during the round. It was very slow from 7th Heaven. In the end, it likely did cost them any chance of getting back into that round. And despite all the time they took, they still allowed that retake. So whatever they were doing wasn't very effective in countering the kind of defense that they were expecting. So a couple of faults there from the attack, and 7th Heaven will need to, of course, wait a little while longer before they reattempt that.
When they do, I feel like they should stick the Nomad instead of the Jackal. I mean, the Jackal certainly didn't make their roam clear particularly fast, Guz, but that Nomad would have slowed down that retake and made that perhaps not even possible for QConfirm. But problems aside, with 7th Heaven's opening rounds, we move on to lobby now, and Healthcare's really been enjoying this Aruni as he places his first Syria gate on the lobby door. I really like that. You know, Aruni, I think her impact can somewhat be not easy to exactly pinpoint, right? Because sometimes all it does is just waste an extra couple seconds. Sometimes it just wastes a stun grenade, or sometimes it can cost teams so much. As we see, some really good pre-placed drones here from Souffle, one up in TV on the top floor. That does signal that perhaps 7th Heaven will start by taking admin. They've, of course, got to be worried about Hajime below with the pulse.
Yeah, of course, he'll be able to sit down below, even if he wanted to, inside of the basement and still get full intel on that eastern rappel. He can call it out to his teammates, but for the meanwhile, he reinforces his position, or barricades his position, I guess, to protect himself from a potential push from the main garage. Doesn't look like so far it's a full eastern take here from 7th Heaven. There are a couple of players positioned though on the balcony. This could potentially be a little bit risky, considering some teams love a cheeky run out on Consulate, but ED of course did bring that Nomad to the board, which I'm sure is directly countering that.
Nice take here from 7th Heaven. Of course, the clock was their enemy last round. Let's hope they can pick up the pace this time and not fall victim. I'm constantly worried though about these vertical C4s. You just look at Hajime downstairs. There's so much info. Now, he would, of course, have to go onto the ground floor to be able to see for any of these admin players, but for now, even just getting the information is pretty huge here. He's going to try through the 2 floors! Shot through the floor with the pulse scanner. My god, that was through 2 floors!
Gnarly, and it doesn't net the kill, but Spirited now dangerously low on HP, and those C4s, or even the smoke grenades late round, will have a very big impact on the way he plays out. So not a comfortable position to find yourself in. That said, on the hard breach top floor, maybe not quite as impactful, but the 5.56 does pack a punch, and you, of course, still want that thermite on the board for additional utilities such as flashbangs and drones. Healthcare getting aggressive over towards CEO. Just trying to hold this position above the objective, gets lit up, retaliates, but Ray doesn't take any damage.
Yeah, Roldini getting aggressive here, looking to retake. Ed with a lot to cover, and he's punished, but the refrag comes through. Ray also ever cautious of Healthcare, trapped in that corner as suddenly 7th Heaven start to break away. 4v3 in their favor now, 4v2 in their favor now, and as time ticks away, QConfirm may start to get desperate.
Pre-place C4 goes boom, it's Producer, and Ray is taken out of the server. It's like Colas alongside. They still need to arguably clutch up like Colas in such an off-meta position. Surely he can't find any picks, but he does. Does he get traded?
Where's the trade?
No. Souffle and Spirited, where are you at?
Spirited didn't swing it. He had every reason to refrag his teammate and win the round, but now it is on like Colas to clutch the trade. Fortunately, swings the way of 7th Heaven. So, thank God Spirited was still alive here. And that's about as close as it can get, Guz.
Yeah, sharp from Lycolis, squirming around on the floor like a little worm and finding a couple of picks. I don't think you'd often be rounding the double doors expecting a player to just be dead in front of you lying on the ground. I think the more concerning thing was not the first player that got down, but the lack of the trade there was quite puzzling. Potentially a lack of communication there from 7th Heaven, but they did get away with it in the end.
I don't like to pile on, but I do feel like Spirited, maybe because he was low HP from that pulse early in the round, but like he just needed to peak that as soon as his teammate died. Like, that's the SMG-11, which you should know if you're a player. Like, if you're in Spirited's position, you should at that caliber, at this level, you should be able to hear and know that that's the SMG-11. You would be able to see it in the kill feed. You just immediately know that he's going to have not many bullets left in his mag. You just swing him as he's trying to reposition. But it didn't happen. Fortunately, Souffle was pretty sharp there and managed to nail the shot onto Lycolis. Evening things up, and QConfirm, they're not dwelling too much on the errors of the past. They're not going to retry that lobby bomb site. Instead, they're going onto the top floor here, but I don't know if I have much more faith here, guys. The top floor tends to be pretty horrendous these days for the defense.
Yeah, top floor's definitely fallen out of favor. A lot of that coming down to the attack being super efficient these days. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, Consort has been in the map pool basically unchanged. There's been a couple of tiny modifications outside of the building and the bomb site, but outside of that remained the same. The entirety of this map being in the pool, so 5 years, that's a long, long time for teams to extract every little part of this map out. And top floor these days is just so well drilled by the attack. And that forces the defense into just doing absolutely wild strategies, if you even want to call them strategies, to try and keep themselves in these rounds.
Guys, would you be referring to a Valkyrie shotgun? Is that the kind of wild strategy that you're thinking of? Because
strategy in quotation marks, yes.
We do have Producer Boom here running Spaz 15, I think it is, or Spaz 12. I don't know which one it is.
Spaz 12, yeah.
There you go. On Valkyrie, we've seen some pretty gnarly Thai teams running shotguns in that game just passed between Elevate and Knights, and it looks like that Thai little spice, that little flavor, may well continue, but here's an early engagement. Pika, you got to land this, and he does. See you later, Roldini. Nice opening pick for 7thHeaven.
That leaves only one automatic weapon left in the hands of QC.
Oh, no.
But hey, we have full faith. This is the way these teams love to play. Meanwhile, though, good control established here. Near the soda machines by 7thHeaven. They've got angles down towards Long. Ray on the rappel holding the cross towards Con. And that forces the defense quite deep in towards CEO. So not the most comfortable position to find yourself in, particularly when half the round is still remaining.
Would never count out Lycolis, though. He's already proved to be quite sharp tonight with the SMG-11. Also, Healthcare. He's decided to flip off of the Roni and onto the DMR. Now, I think the DMR is actually one of the most slept-on guns on defense these days. With a 1.5 times scope and 2 body hits to kill, this thing seriously packs a punch as we see Healthcare reactivate the Syria gate. 7thHeaven, though, with this man advantage, they've just got to make sure they keep making progress.
Lycolis trapped inside of Con. Uses one smoke grenade to try and push Ray back. That leaves only 2 left in the hand for late round as the push comes through, but Pekan, off screen, does manage to find his second. It continues to mount this pressure. Lycolis needs to go big. Producer Boom can do nothing from below, and I think this round is long gone.
Oh, but Lycolis makes a big play, finds the first pick, but punished once again. Lycolis can't clutch up, and 7thHeaven have just found back-to-back attacking rounds.
And that is why you do not defend above on Consulate, ladies and gentlemen. Please start introducing that into your rank stacks and make the environment a lot better for us all. But no, in all seriousness, right, we just saw how methodical that was. Not long into the round, 7thHeaven already had control of long desk. So many of those angles shut down, and that's mainly because the defense can't really hold admin at all these days. Too difficult to hold that, so you have to forfeit that. And then from there, the rest of the players were forced back, choked out. Anyone that tried to make a play off site, shut down by Pika, and there was really just nothing they could feasibly achieve to try and bring that round back. So very clinical there from 7thHeaven, and they take a round that deserved to be theirs.
You know what's funny, guys, is if we look back on this game so far with a little bit of reflective eyes, with some hindsight, you know, if you think about that first round from 7thHeaven, where really the only thing that went wrong is that they executed too late. Like, if that had happened a minute earlier, then surely they would have wasted out all of the smokes and C4s, and they would have been able to watch their flanks. Like, if we cast that aside, you look at this, hasn't been a very promising game so far for QC.
They have to try and find themselves back into this one, going back downstairs. Could be a look-in. 7thHeaven did struggle a little bit with their time management, but you would have to assume off the back of a pretty confident last round that maybe they could speed things up a little bit Again, no wall denial being brought by QConfirm. So the key thing I would love to see is Spirited just run straight towards the breach and just get it open. Even if no one's watching it, just apply some pressure to this defense.
Especially considering a lot of the meta these days, at least not so much in APAC, because we haven't really seen this map very much, but at least what teams are doing overseas and have been doing for the last couple months is just a 5-man garage take. Like, you thermite open that wall, and you sit outside and you clear every piece of utility, and then you just execute. Because you know you just take your gunfights, you force the plant down, like, that's what a lot of teams are doing, and I feel like 7thHeaven just need at least a little bit of that time on their side, get in there early, especially because there is a little X factor this round, that is the clash. Already taken a lick of damage here, Producer Bin. Quite aggressive up the red stairs. And now he's cut off upstairs as well, thanks to this admin hatch being opened.
Again, 7thHeaven looking to take above, and as we reach the 1 minute mark into the round, you can see that not really a whole lot is going on. QConfirm aren't roaming too heavy. Producer being probably the furthest off site here over towards the service stairs. ED looking to pressure, sends out an air jab, maybe to try and force him back, and it does work a little bit. Producer Beam still just holding firm. 7th have, of course, they can relay that information, but they need to be able to play off it, and it doesn't feel like they're in the best positions at the moment to try and clear out that player.
Yeah, for now, 7thHeaven, once again, their early rounds tend to be very slow, very methodical. They're just looking on this map control. Slow and steady wins the race. As it's looking very much the same as last time 7thHeaven attacked this round, guys. This bomb site, opening up the hatch, just about a minute to go when this garage will eventually be breached. My question is, like, what is 7thHeaven going to do to make sure that they can actually execute properly? And that they're not going to get flanked above. That's already losing their first player. This ain't looking so good.
And this is the risk they're running. Instead of opening up the breach and clearing utility from outside, like you've mentioned, we've seen in a lot of other regions, instead they're going top down and trying to clear it from above. But you are susceptible to those nitro cells. It nets a kill for the defense, the opening kill onto Souffle, of course. And now they're at the man advantage. They should be able to just hold on here. Don't over-aggress too much, as we did see Healthcare get caught in the air jab, but he did find a pick. And now QC have a very clear advantage.
28 seconds, and I just don't see how Spirited and Co may well push this off. The clash adds insult to injury as Spirited loses HP moment by moment, but that's a nice shot there from Pika, the man always to save this team. Diffuser going down, the gas isn't covering it, Spirited has done it! And now it's a retake on for QConfirm. They make it a 4 versus 2, but still one of the hardest sites to retake in the game. It is all on Ray in a 1 versus 3. He has to stop them from crossing. Once they get into that corner, he will have to swing. There's no way this works out well in his favor. QConfirm have the opportunity to take it. The cross happens, the shield! What is this play here? Ray, you've got to make it happen now, but the shield covers him! What a play from Lycolas! I have never seen that before!
5 billion IQ from QConfirm. Who in their right mind drops a shield in a post-plant scenario? Only in APAC will you see this. And it wins them the round. They've retaken the hardest site in the game.
I mean, you can't deny it. Thai teams have style points. Through the roof, man. Through the damn roof. QConfirm. Just... You're leaving me speechless, mate. You guys in Elevate are play some of the most original Siege I have ever seen. And,
well, it was like a good piece of furniture, Dev. Not only was it stylish, but it was functional. Like, it literally covered him from getting popped in the back of the head. It wasn't just for looks. It actually worked, which makes it even more insane.
Unbelievable. Well, QConfirm, I guess we should never doubt. We should never count you out when you can pull off amazing plays like that. And while we have ragged on both of these teams a little bit so far, scoreline is even. So QConfirm have managed to mount a bit of a comeback here. And on top of that, guys, they're actually going back to that top floor site we were so critical of, that we were so terrified of, but they've changed so much. They have the Goyo and, of course, the fabled Clash on the board.
Love to see a bit of Clash. And one thing as well that you love to see from QConfirm is healthcare stepping up. Big praise in the pre-show, jumping back into the team in stage 1 and has shown up to an incredible standard. It was a slow start for him. In fact, I believe the first 3 rounds at least, he didn't even have a frag on the board.
Yeah,
so,
he was done nothing.
Yeah, no longer. Played super aggressive in that basement hold, and now he's playing super aggressive inside of admin. I said last time, this is so hard to hold!
Oh, see you
but
later.
not if you can hit a nitro cell like that. Spirited gets yeeted away. QConfirm again get the man advantage.
Only redeeming factor there is your Thermite's not super important on a top floor attack. In fact, I don't really know why 7thHeaven are even bringing it. They know it can't be Garage, as they just lost the Garage attack. Oh, Producer Boom is lucky to be alive walking into that crossfire. That reinforcement is saving him right now. Pika, that's not going to do very much, as Producer simply walks away and peels off. 7thHeaven start to take admin control, but not without serious contention.
The one...
Oof.
Oh, ED, nice. I was about to say, the one thing favouring 7thHeaven in this matchup against the Clash is that Consulate is so destructive, particularly from below. If they want to go for that option, assuming they know first floor is clear, that is viable. Doesn't look like they've elected to go down that route just yet, instead heading straight in towards the path of the Clash as healthcare drops, but maybe it'll work out. Now the tables really have flipped. 7thHeaven find themselves in front, but again, I do think clearing this Clash could prove challenging.
Oh, surely healthcare doesn't get out alive here. Man's crawling for his life, but Hajime goes for the res. And healthcare's back on his feet. 4v4 all of a sudden, but low HP for QConfirm's MVP. Producer Boom, the lone man with no gun to hold on to meeting that pivotal bomb site. So much information he's gathering for his team, though.
Just needs to be careful. One misstep could cost him his life and potentially cost QConfirm the round as meeting control. They're just holding on to it here, the defense. They struggled QConfirm last time when 7thHeaven flushed them back and flushed them deep. So it is a good adaptation so far to maintain control with the Clash, but how long will it last?
And it may well be some Zofia stuns to come through and knock this Clash right off of her game. The Nomad is ready and waiting, but Pika once again finds an opening that QConfirm are ready to capitalize on. The flashbang, surely that Clash is completely negated. Ed's just going to start to force down this plant, but not before he takes down Producer Boom. And there's absolutely no way that healthcare is going to bring that one back to life. 7thHeaven, another very convincing win onto that top floor.
It did appear as if the Clash could be the linchpin in helping QConfirm win that round, but ultimately it only delayed the inevitable. Again, Consulate top floor, so tricky to defend. It's 2 occasions now where QConfirm have displayed just how tough of a challenge it can be. But they're going to reattempt it. Back above for the 3rd time, despite losing it twice already.
I mean, what can you do? Like, they found the opening pick last round.
Go to
They
split!
still couldn't convert. I mean, I'm with you, man. But, like, let's say these guys don't have a strat for split. Like, what if they don't? What do you do then?
Yeah. Jeez, Siege can be a tough game sometimes, can't it?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll on over to Siege GG Pro, and I'm going to see if I can find QConfirm's site-specific map stats.
How do you have pro access?
I'm a pro, dude.
Do you know people?
Oh yeah, I've got connections, man. I'm sure I can hook you up.
Yeah.
We got the good stuff.
The stats, that is. The stats.
The good stats, of course.
Yeah.
There
Well,
we go.
what are QConfirm going to do on this occasion, right? Because they've still brought a very similar lineup. If you want to rattle out those stats, I know you're waiting. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to change the boundaries. So it's all of 2020 plus all of 2021 so far. Yep, all of 2020 to all of 2021. Here we go. So, sorry, the suspense is surely killing
This
you.
is the best stalling I've ever heard you do on a broadcast. I will give
So
you
they
that.
have defended it 5 rounds, apparently, and they have a 60% win rate on it. Sorry, 40, no, wait. Yes, a 60% win rate on defense, I guess.
Well, I think it's fair to say that that win percentage is likely going to drop.
I'm pretty sure I'm reading this wrong, but I think what I'm seeing is 5 rounds of attack at a 40% win rate and 0 defenses.
Ah. Well, that is a little bit concerning. Whoa, what is this? This is a little bit concerning as well. Producer Boom on the Clash, roaming 2 floors below.
What, you never heard of the roaming Clash, dude? You never heard of the roaming Clash?
I wouldn't say it's personally one of my favorite strategies, but again, TIE Siege.
You don't question the TIE Siege, because as soon as you do, they pull off an insane shield counter defuse play that you just would never think of, and they make it work.
Well, I mean, he hasn't even contested admin, and it's already taken 7thHeaven nearly half the round just to take that side of the map. So I'd say in terms of time management, it's pretty good. If not better now that the Clash was taken down cheaply, ED to get the opening pick. That's his first opener in the map so far, despite having a pretty solid performance on the Nomad. That, of course, now allows his team to take control of Sodas, Long Desk, etc. And this is probably going to play out pretty similar to all the other rounds. QConfirm will get choked back towards the western side, as you can see now, and Meeting should be free pickings.
I don't see any reason why this should not be a 7thHeaven round as they further their man advantage once again for themselves. 5v3 and Hajime feeling that heat flashed out and surely no hope for him. Ray makes this official. Spirited getting that diffuser planted. Hajime is the last man standing and there is no way he gets out of this alive. A consolation frag before he is pistoled to death. That is the half. Cut and dried. A 4-2 split for 7thHeaven.
What will change though as we head into the second half? Of course, if you're just joining this match, absolutely huge. It's the final play day for these two teams in the APAC South regular season for stage number 1. The winner will make playoffs. They'll be in the running for 6 invitational points as well. Absolutely huge stakes on this best of 1.
You know what's insane about that is that 7thHeaven, they were in relegations out of 12 teams in APAC North last year. They were one of the unlucky few to meet relegations. Of course, they came through successful out of that. But QConfirm also a team that were just consistently underperforming throughout that league. They did not make the majors even once. They were consistently shut out of those playoffs. And, I mean, coming into this, both of these teams have really outdone themselves, I think, this season. QConfirm also had an incredibly deep run in the 6 Invitational qualifier for APAC. They were actually the team to knock out 7thHeaven, so if anything, guys, this is a bit of a revenge game for 7H. And, what's more, with these teams having never really taken playoffs before, as soon as you lock yourself into playoffs, right, you are almost guaranteed SI points. As long as you don't go out in the 7th or 8th place through the playoffs, as long as you get 5th or 6th, you get some SI points, and as long as you get top 4, you get a serious injection of prize money as well.
Bit of cold, hard cash, never heard, and here we go. Some Valkyrie play outside. It's Pika to scatter those around, and that will be potentially problematic for QC. They have not brought the IQ to the board. Not sure if you remember, Dev, but I don't... Was the Valkyrie revealed? I can't remember.
Look, if you give me a second, I can find it on the
Because
VOD.
if it was, you would have assumed that QConfirm would jump off at least someone.
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually. Sorry, it was actually revealed. The Kaid was the 6th pick off of a Mozzie.
Okay, interesting. ED just trying to get the claw off the floor to catch it, maybe, but doesn't end up grabbing it. Again, not gonna question what I'm seeing right now because maybe there's some big brain reason behind that. Not much really going on though at the moment, is there? QConfirm, are they setting up for a map clear? It's tricky to tell. A couple of repels at the moment being held, so it would suggest that might be the play.
Well, once again, it's a quiet early round. This time, QConfirm, though, on the attack. They're the ones who got to get a move on. They do so. Ray injured, but not out as of yet. Surely Souffle can't make this a res. He's tempted. He thinks about going for it, and there you go. That drone is going to seal the deal there, that drone, and then, of course, a nice little wallbang from Healthcare. You know who else is in a spot of trouble? Is old mate Pika in the middle of the circle desk. Loses his head to Producer Boom, but not before losing a lot of HP. This is one of the weirdest roams I've ever seen for a basement site, guys. Roaming in the middle of circle desk, and it looks like 7thHeaven is starting to get punished for it.
I do like the intent, trying to play aggressive off-site, not play the traditional execute style like we see in so many regions, but it's not paying off so far in 7th's first defense of round number 7. Roldini finally heads out to the breach. APAC teams seem to be loving, at least tonight, opening this breach really late, creating those additional lines of sight and applying pressure. He does have the kit in hand. 7thHeaven, maybe if they can find a pick or two, could hold out.
I mean, they have so much util still supporting them, and Spirit has found the lead-off kill. Souffle as well. Spirited, there is no better operator to hold these yellow stairs than Smoke himself, but no gas babes remaining. That's the shot that you need to take down Healthcare, and that's the trade that you've just missed. But fortunately, Souffle is there to support, and Spirited closes it down. 7thHeaven with a 3v5 hold in the dying moments of that defense.
Spirited is the clutch master in APAC South. Do you remember back to the Knights game, Dev, where he kept them in it for a couple of rounds, despite being 0-6 down, just off the back of his ability to clutch? And sure, that wasn't a 1vx scenario, but he was clutch on those yellow stairs, finding multiple picks, applying pressure to the breach. And I said, if they can find a couple, they might be a chance, and Spirited did come through.
You know what's so funny? You referenced that Knights game, right? We had been talking about Spirited all day because like he's new to this roster. You know, he's replacing Sino, and he had such a shocking opening game against the Knights. He was a donut for the first 6 rounds, where 7thHeaven were 0-6 down against the Knights, and then he clutches a 1 versus 2. His only 2 kills of the game so far. And keeps him in it. Of course, that spearheads 7thHeaven to then come back 6 rounds in a row and push overtime, which also included another clutch from Spirited. It was just the most ridiculous individual performance, I think. Fortunately, he's become a bit more consistent now, but he's certainly, one thing has stayed the same, and that is he's a bit of a clutch god.
I guess talking about clutches, it feels like this game might be slowly getting out of reach of QConfirm. It's always too easy to call a game on Consulate though, right? They're only 2-5 down, attacking. Very, very real possibility that they bounce back. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. They will have to contend though with the Frost. Ray bringing her into the fray. I wonder where those mats were placed, potentially to try and prevent some of these repels. And
so weird.
2 inside of admin, maybe the 3rd as well.
It's copy.
I wonder just how aggressive, just how aggressive he's going to play off these.
I mean, he's really just banking on QConfirm having some poor droning, or at least he's hoping to shoot the drones as they land on the windowsills, and then hoping QConfirm will just not really check for those frost mats. I mean, who would, right, at this level? Especially in a place like that. It's like such a silly place for a lot of people, but you can destroy them if you repel upside down on those windows. But just to take a second and remark upon this bomb site, of course, Teller's Archives taken here by 7thHeaven. That bomb site you were saying you really wanted QConfirm to try out. Of course, QC, they only won garage defenses, and you really need to have some more versatility across your bomb site. 7thHeaven already have that.
Healthcare, meanwhile, feels like he's slowly starting to warm up. And I mean, I say that he's currently top fragging for QC, but a 6-6 for him, you know, that's just every day in the office. You know, that's probably below our expectations considering just how strong his rating is at the moment. He is right up there despite not playing for the entirety of the stage. So don't count him out from having a big impact in the rest of this map. Pika, meanwhile, does get a late trade Leaves it in a 4-on-4. This player side of copy, though, could pose a problem. If that frost mat hasn't been cleared, he can't repel in. Ray knows that. Plays it quite smart, crosses and gets aggressive. This is probably not the plays. Like Colas does push through, doesn't quite get the pick, is taken down, leaves it in a 2 versus 2. Wow, so many trades. Roldini now left on that repel to try and clutch up, and the mat, it catches him out. They didn't drone it. QConfirm will fall. Oh, the most unfortunate of manners.
The dreaded sound of that thud. A welcome mat, surely a warm welcome for QConfirm in the 1 versus 2. Roldini didn't know what hit him until he fell right into its clutches. You know what's more, guys, is as you're swinging in, you can't look down. If you're vaulting in a window, you can look down and shoot that mat. If you're swinging in, I don't think you can hit those shots. So he may well have seen it coming and been able to do nothing about it. 7thHeaven running away with this, just like they are running away with APAC South. The team we expected on the very bottom of the standings, but time and time again we spoke to ED through his victories. They took down the Giants, and they've taken down Order. They've done so many insane things this season that we never expected they would achieve. And they continue to impress us.
Well, I guess in terms of big names and prestige, arguably those two are a little bit bigger, but in terms of right in the moment, playoff implications, this one is critical. They need to close this out. If it goes to OT still and they lose, 1 point is clearly not enough. These teams are almost neck and neck on the standings. It's basically you win, you're in. So they still need to close this out. And I know maybe I'm holding on to the tiniest of threads here, but QConfirm, maybe they can pull off the Hail Mary and try to bring this back. If there is one map in the pool where you can mount some momentum on the attack, it has to be Consulate.
Well, they better get a move on. They better get right back on their bike, because Healthcare, he might have a 1.5 KD and be the top-rated player in APAC South throughout this season, but he certainly isn't everything that they need to make this work. Surely Pika goes massive here. No, Healthcare knows about it and says, absolutely not, mate. You are down and out for the count. 30 seconds into the round, and QConfirm have the advantage.
That's the advantage they should now be able to thrive off. That said, they and Healthcare more specifically did get the opening pick in the previous round, and they still managed to lose out, really struggling to clear the roam. And 7thHeaven have decided to dedicate to one again. Spirited with the shotgun in hand. He did God's work on the yellow stairs earlier, and now inside of meeting. This position critical, he needs to show up again.
On such a pivotal round for both of these teams, 7thHeaven, one more round and you are in the playoffs for the first time ever. These guys never even played Pro League, for goodness sake. They just came straight to APAC North. They fought their way through relegations, and here they are. QConfirm, on the flip side of that, have been fighting for years. They were the Southeast Asia Pro League champions a year ago, back when 7thHeaven weren't even a twinkle in the Pro League's eye. And now it looks like the tables may have turned, and this dark horse is starting to gallop. What can QConfirm do in the next minute and 5 seconds to make this possible?
Hajime did bring the IQ to the board, but that impact might be limited, only really spotting out utility in sight. Spirited narrowly misses a quick burst with the SMG. Hajime doesn't miss though. Lycolis gets in on the action as well. It's Souffle left in the 1 versus 5 to hold down the fort. He's inside of Piano. He's getting lit up and he gets taken down. Is this the look-in that QConfirm needed?
Just when we called upon them at the 11th hour, staring down match point, they get back into it. This could be, as you say, the moment where they start to... I don't know. Do they start to convince us, guys? I'm not feeling particularly convinced as of yet.
I'm feeling it a little bit. I've got the I've got the inkling. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good fight. Regardless of maybe it ends in the next round, they're still going to put up a great fight. And they've got nothing to lose. Let's keep that in mind, right? If QConfirm end up bombing out after giving it their all, well, they haven't really lost much. They can recuperate heading into stage 2. It's not like they've got another event or anything that they're revealing strats for. I mean, this is prime time for them.
For sure.
So, look, let's see what they can bring to the table. I think just quickly noting as well, if you're a Chiefs fan and an OS fan, we can now confirm that Chiefs cannot lose third spot, just due to the way this match works out, head-to-head, etc., all the points, all that fancy math. Chiefs will secure third. No matter if QConfirm win this in OT, they can only get 2 points, and of course they lose that head-to-head, so they'll finish 4th.
So that means the standings as they stand are Elevate in number 1, locked in. Knights in number 2, locked in. Chiefs in number 3, locked in. 7thHeaven and QConfirm fighting over number 4, that final spot in the playoffs. And of course, the only other movement we may see in the standings is the wildcard Giants games, where they fight over the scraps for last place and second last in APAC South. That is unbelievable, honestly.
It's been a big stage for all of these teams. It's been a hectic stage, a busy schedule, and it's been really a case of survival of the fittest. 7thHeaven looking to try and lock this one down. Ray getting aggressive on the road. Pika upstairs as well. Souffle inside of Copy looking to maybe get a cheeky pick over towards admin. You would have to assume that if 7thHeaven can get that opening pick, that can steamroll them some nice momentum, because they are yet to get an opening pick on the defensive half.
In fact, it's been Healthcare who's found the opening pick the last 3 rounds in a row. Every single attack around, this man has done everything he can to open things up. And it's starting to work as of last round. 7thHeaven, all you got to do is win one more round, but you can't let that pressure get to you. And Pika finds the opening. Souffle aggressive on the back of it. Healthcare still pushed backwards. That Jackal's gone as well as Ray finds Hajime, and it may well be falling apart.
Producer Boom repels in to try and salvage something. Both him and Healthcare have been top fragging for QConfirm, but this is when those frags really matter. They need to make something out of nothing. Healthcare down below inside of Visa, pressured from above. The defenders still roaming quite freely, yet to be locked down. You would have to assume that 7th convert it from here. There's no pressure really being applied to any of these roamers, and provided they don't get cut off, if they try and head back towards site, they should be able to sit there and be safe.
Time ticking. QConfirm, your hopes and dreams of playoffs lie in the next 50 seconds. 7thHeaven, that's a nice gas to keep them at bay. Still no breach on this wall. Producer Boom has not destroyed the claw, and that means there's no chance, unless he gets to it now, that Roldini could breach this garage wall. And that's another pick for Pika, who's found his second this round. Healthcare, the man of the hour we call upon in the direst of need, can't land enough shots, and he takes so much damage. In the meanwhile, 19 seconds left, and he finds one pick, looking for a second now. Surely this is not possible. Roldini falls in, and it is all on Healthcare. 7thHeaven have done it! From amateurs to the playoffs, we will see 7thHeaven representing APAC in the playoffs. A massive achievement for the Dark Horse.
Last year was nothing special from 7thHeaven, but 2021 already proving to be anything but. Stage 1 is a success for them. They make the playoffs, and what a way to do it. A 7-3 victory. Absolutely huge.
Completely dominant there. There is really no two ways about it. That was a game that as much as we like to think QConfirm had a way back into it, it was 7th Heavens from the get-go. And isn't this just such an amazing moment as well for this team? 7th Heaven, who have really come in as a young team. They didn't have experience for the Pro Leagues of the past. They're going up against QConfirm, who played at multiple LANs, who won Pro League Season 11 in Southeast Asia. And they've now been taken down, and no less, it is 7th Heaven who stand tall and make playoffs. We have really been treated to quite an amazing stage here.
Yeah, it really has felt over the last couple of months like we are sort of reaching a new era of Siege, and I think at least within APAC, 7th Heaven really embody that. Last year, as I mentioned, not great for them. They just scathed through relegations to even be in this league in the first place, and they've put on some really great showings. Not only have they taken down QConfirm, but they have taken down many big names along the way. And who knows, maybe the playoffs, they will only continue to grow. And wow, I wonder how deep they can go.
Well, I just can't wait for the interview that we get with ED later. That is the highlight of my night. He is such a good interviewee, and I'm sure that we'll get that. Xenox, please just skip everything else and give me the interview, because that's what I want, all right?
Well, we can't just go straight to the interview, Dev. That's not how this works. You know that more than anyone. But boys, big win for 7th Heaven. They go to the playoffs for healthcare and QConfirm. Raven the Dream is dead. What a collapse to the end of the season.
Yeah, look, really surprised that this wasn't closer. I mean, I'm not super surprised they lost. Personally, I went for 7th Heaven, but really thought it was going to be a close game, and really thought QConfirm had a solid shot for playoffs, but they really under-delivered tonight. They also really under-delivered on Tuesday. Let's not forget they got 7-0'd just 2 days ago as well. So this week, nightmare week for them, and yeah, it's cost them playoffs.
I love the way you just cheekily snuck in your flex for predictions then, Raven. It's okay, we understand the 5-head. To be honest though, look, very, very quickly on QConfirm's part, both this week and last week. It's really just been this week against the Chiefs, and now 7th Heaven. They have really crumbled. I think you said it best, Xenox. The end of this season has just not been kind to them. They only needed the points from either of those games, and they would have confirmed playoff spot. And they could have done that on Tuesday, which unfortunately they couldn't. But I definitely don't want to dwell on that too much, because 7th Heaven have blown away all expectations. I mean, Ray had an incredible game, but two players that have been so consistent for me was Souffle and once again Pika, just consistently giving them incredible openings and finding advantages where there shouldn't be advantages. And I think that kind of sums up what 7th Heaven have done this season.
7th Heaven very much are a team that is a team. They don't have star players necessarily across all of the lines like some of the others. It has to be a fundamental team effort. We saw that here against QConfirm. Let's go and have a chat with ED and see how the camp at 7th Heaven are feeling. Big congratulations. Firstly, that's it. Flex those muscles. You're going to the playoffs. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm super excited right now. I mean, we are super excited right now. At least I am. Like, this is the first time we made it in playoffs, so yeah, what can I say, man? Nice.
Look, it was a great performance from you guys against QConfirm, and just felt like all season you guys were on the gradual incline. You're in the playoffs now, so let's think about some of the opponents. Is there anybody from APAC North that you guys are excited to maybe play against?
I think every team from APAC North all of them are the opponents that we want to against, because last season we fell really, really hard in the APAC North, so we want to use this opportunity to prove ourselves that we can beat them again. Yeah, yeah.
And ED, you truly have bounced back from your performance last season and blown everyone away in APAC South. I'd love to hear what is... yeah, you have. You blew them out of the water. You blew us out of the water. But I'd love to hear, what is it that's really been the determining factor?
To be honest, I think it's about time, because I believe we are talented, because compared with other teams, we are just students. We don't have gaming room. I don't even have gaming chair. See? I don't even. So I think it's time problem that when times come, when we keep practicing, when we keep believing we can, when time comes that we just do it. We just done. You know.
Yeah.
I think you've already done that now.
There's
You're going to the
nothing special,
playoffs.
yeah.
You don't even need a gaming chair, buddy. You're too good already. If you get a gaming chair, there's maybe no competition that will be able to stand in your way. Before we let you go, any shout outs that you want to give to the fans and friends and family?
Yeah. So before the fans and family, like I want to shout out our new member, which is our new coach, which is Odin. Like he helped us a lot. He just joined us recently, like 1 month or 3 weeks ago. Then he did really good job. And also our manager Darling and our analyst Rachel, like they are also the big impact for us. Like they're helping a lot. So I want to shout out to them. And as fan and family, like thanks for support. I love you. Yeah. Huh? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mate. Best of luck in the playoffs.
Best of luck.
Oh, what about these wholesome interviews tonight, guys, from team to team? I think they almost get more wholesome each time. Unfortunately, though, Matic, the game itself wasn't very wholesome for QConfirm. Their season's done in a very disappointing manner.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say that they join Giants in our disappointment, because obviously that is a bigger story altogether. But most definitely, we all had them picked around the top 4 mark. We 100% thought playoffs was on the books for them. And I think if you look at earlier performances, it was a shoo-in. What has gone wrong in the last couple of weeks? I think that's the big question from my point, because healthcare is still popping off. He's still performing to the rate, maybe not so much this game, but definitely in previous games. It hasn't changed a lot for him. So something has really kind of twisted in the last 2 games that have, I don't know, just completely fallen apart for them. So it is a shame for them, but obviously now they need to look forward to next season.
Yeah, it's a bit strange too, because like Hollis in their winner interviews, ever since they brought healthcare on, he mentioned about how much comfortable they all were with healthcare being back in the roster. But it's just, something's happened. It's completely fallen apart. But you're right, it's only 1 stage. They've still got 2 more stages for this season to get through. And to pivot back to 7thHeaven, the winners from this match and going through the playoffs, look, I'm really hopeful for them. I feel like they've started to present some seriously good form. They're playing some nice Siege. And I feel for them. I want to see them, get their little revenge story in APAC North, because they did have a terrible season last year. And this is their chance to really step it up.
Yeah, it's all eyes now for Stage 2 for QConfirm, and 2 other teams that have got their eyes on Stage 2 that need to now turn their eyes back to Stage 1 just momentarily. Wildcard and Giants, of course, these 2 teams coming up after the break.